Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fantasy NBA Today, Sports Ethos presentation brought to you by our great partners at FanDuel. I'm Aaron Bruski, joined as always by the Hall of Famer Steve, Dr. A. Alexander. And if you missed it, we just released an episode covering our top ads, streamers, and drop zone guys. So make sure you guys go check that out. In this episode, we're going to break down the latest news. We're going to dive into Dr. A's My Guys, My Bruski 150 players, and then we're going to look into what we're watching out for tonight. So let's get to the news. And yesterday was a fun one. And it all happened as we were doing our shows. And I don't know, Doc, if did I actually call some of that? I can't even really remember, but AD was out for basically the season at one point, according to Sham Charania. And then AD basically said, not so fast. Don't believe what you see on the internet. And then the reporting started to trickle in. And where we finally landed on this is Anthony Davis is out for 6 weeks is basically my read on this right now. I don't know if it's 6 weeks and then another evaluation after that. The Dallas Mavericks came out and made it sound more like 6 weeks. But after all of that cycle, Doc, where do you stand on AD after all of that?
Well, yesterday I was like, just cut him. Just be done with it. And you were like, no, hang on. Just wait a week. So that was good advice. And the whole thing is, if he wasn't going to get traded out of Dallas, his season would be over. But he's trying to get traded. He wants to get with this new team and play the last couple weeks of the regular season to get ready for a playoff run with said new team. So, the team he's going to apparently needs to make the playoffs. I don't know, man. What a nightmare. What a headache AD is. Made of glass.
Yeah, all that definitely stands. My thought process the entire time is this dude's got ballpark 100 million at least on the line, if not 120, if not 140, depending on who's the dummy that's going to hand him that much money in his next deal. So it's like there's a lot of people that are interested in that. You know, his agent's interested in that. He's interested in that. The acquiring team that might have him for the playoff run is interested in that. And then this hand injury, I'm not even fully convinced that he's stuck at a 6 week timetable with it. It could theoretically be 5. It could be 7, of course. It could be later. But the bottom line is there's a team that's going to want him, and they're going to probably trade something small to get him for the right to pay him. Or alternatively, maybe the market inverts so much that it's more of a rental situation. But one way or another, Anthony Davis is possibly playing basketball as soon as March 1st. And that all by itself means that he's a hold. If you have an injured reserve slot, of course, it's a lot easier. But even if you don't have an injured reserve slot, you'd have to be really, really desperate, to in a playoff format, that is, to pass on this. And in a roto format, you probably have some space on your bench for a guy who, when he comes back, is going to be super motivated to show everybody that he can do what he can do and can bring at least top 40 play to the table. And maybe there's some caveats to that. Maybe he's not playing in all the games down the stretch, but this money on the other side of the rainbow requires him to play basketball, and he's got to prove that he can play basketball every day. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back in motivated. I think he wasn't motivated to enter this season because of all the crap. And I think he wasn't motivated when on the basketball floor to do anything of real value because he's just sitting in Dallas. He doesn't want to be there. And when he gets to this next location, he's going to be playing for $100 million, and there's going to be a lot of motivation there. So that's where it stands. And I felt like I put enough tinfoil in my head yesterday to kind of read through all of that stuff. I was pretty happy because every once in a while that pans out. David Adelman says Christian Braun is home rehabbing his ankle. That's not good. It feels like it's a lost season for Christian Braun. Herbert Jones listed out today for tonight's game as he's continually on the trade deadline. I'm not even sure he's injured at this point, but he's out one way or another. And then Jalen Green is, quote, there, according to Jordan Ott. And I've heard Jordan Ott talk enough about injuries this season to know that let's just be a little cautious here. Yeah, it sounds like he's coming back within this next trip that they're on. And that could be the next 3 to 4 games. But if they kept him out another 3 to 4 after that, given the state of this injury, it wouldn't shock me at all. In terms of things that are going to happen, Doc, what do you see in Phoenix as the shakeup with the pecking order?
Well, I was just going to ask you, are you worried about Grayson Allen with Jalen Green coming back?
Yeah, I think he takes about a round hit is my first stab at that. That said, I really like Grayson Allen a lot in their offense. He's constantly getting the ball as the first or second playmaker in a given set. He's rising and firing. It's like they're encouraging him to shoot deep threes. So it feels like he's sort of locked in. Colin Gillespie is probably the next guy that people want to talk about. Is he going to keep up with his top 40 production on the season? Colin Gillespie, of course, a big B150 guy. So we're always watching him. And I think he's probably going to be inside the top 100 no matter what the rest of the way this season, and then kind of bump back up to the top 60 as guys go getting hurt. And if you're Dylan Brooks getting suspended for your technical foul count, and on and on, and Grayson Allen's not exactly a spring chicken. And so that's my two big takes there. But is there anybody else that you're watching? Is this Devin Booker? How do you think this is going to impact?
Yeah, I mean, Devin Booker's not going to get as many shots. He's not going to have the ball in his hand as much as he has. And same for everybody. I mean, Jalen Green's a usage guy. He's going to have the ball in his hands. So, and you wonder about a guy like Dylan Brooks, who has had such a big role on this team lately.
And kind of earning it, by the way.
And who goes to the bench? Like, if Jalen Green starts, who goes to the bench? Is it Gillespie? Is it Allen? I don't know.
I think it's Gillespie. And I think there's going to be a massive buy low moment for Colin Gillespie that folks really got to lean into, because everybody and their mother, they didn't have him on draft day. And now here's the great reason to kind of downgrade what he's been doing this season. He's just an injury guy, right? That narrative will be out there, and then there will be a switch of the starting lineup. He's going to be on the bench. He's going to have a 24-minute game. He'll have one bad game, and everybody's going to lose their mind. And you're going to be right there. And you're going to be like, I'll take your Colin Gillespie for, like, I don't know, Kevin Herter or something. And you're going to clean up. It's going to be great. So time that carefully and time it in a couple weeks from now. What else we got? We got PJ Washington's right ankle injury that caused him to miss the last 3 games. Jason Kidd says he's doing court work, and he's hopefully back in a week. So PJ Washington coming back to save the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see how that goes for him. He is listed as questionable for tonight's game. Is that right? Did I read that right? Holy moly. That's faster than back in a week. Oh, that was on January 13th. Thank you. I can read. Lauri Markkanen downgraded to doubtful for tonight's game. Not shocking because of the 3 games in 4 nights. Probably playing the next one. Ja Morant ruled out for Thursday night's game in Germany. Is it Germany or France? I can't remember things. Scottie Pippen Jr. News from the Grizzlies hit. So we got Scottie Pippen Jr. out for 4 to 6 weeks. Brandon Clark, 4 to 6 weeks. The big name here, Zach Edey. That was Germany, I'm told. And I don't know what the last half of that is. Zach Edey, 6 weeks for Zach Edey with his ankle injury. That's a big bummer. And it sounds like they're not really loading him up and getting him on his feet. And so one has to wonder, is this more, is this ankle injury really, really bad? Or is this just him being a really, really big guy and them having sort of extra additional concerns with him? And in the middle of a lost season, are they going to keep Zach Edey on ice much more than we thought he would be? So Zach Edey out. And then a name not on the injury report, Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome just not on the injury report, which is fun. So Ty Jerome was seen filmed playing basketball with teammates in Germany. And they are over there, and I guess they're playing in London as well. They're doing a little trip around Europe there. And Jerome playing basketball with teammates. Like, I think we got a quote from Thomas Isalo that he wouldn't be returning on this trip. That was from DeMichael Cole, I believe, beat writer out of Memphis. And so we're starting to see Ty Jerome, I think, show us that he'll be back like 2 weeks from now. So, Doc, what are you doing with Memphis right now? What's your order of operations as far as how you would handle all of the players there right now?
Well, the first thing I would probably recommend is go pick up Jock Landale. Landale's going to be a fixture with this Zach Edey news. And if you're holding Zach Edey, I mean, I don't know if it's worth holding on to him or not. If you don't have an injured reserve spot for him, I personally would probably just drop him. 6 weeks from now is like what, March 1st?
But it is an interesting conversation. He performed better than Anthony Davis when he was hot. Zach Edey did. And we're telling people to hold on to Anthony Davis, unless you're desperate in a playoff or in a roto situation. If you're desperate, you might have to cut him.
It's interesting. Ty Jerome, I've said several times, I'm holding him in a ton of places. So I would like to see him come back. Ty Jerome comes back. He's probably not going to start. He is going to certainly impact Cam Spencer. It's possible Ty Jerome could ruin Cam Spencer, Brew.
No, I'm not going to go there. I won't do that.
I'm just saying it's possible.
No, it just depends on where we draw the line. So Cam Spencer had a month of top 50 value before kind of the hype of Cam Spencer, really hit a crescendo. There was a couple weeks there where he was right underneath the radar, 2 weeks where he was like starting to build up into the Cam Spencer that we know him to be right now. Had about a week or two where he was mortal there. And then this last week back up into the top 50 land. So if people think he's a top 50 guy, I think he's capable of being a top 50 guy. I'm not so concerned with Scottie Pippen and Ty Jerome coming back because I think they're locked into playing Cam Spencer at minimum 25 minutes per game going forward. I think probably in the ballpark of 28. I think you see something like a 28, 26, 24 kind of a split with these three guys that they're all playing at the same time, getting a minimum of those minutes going forward. And it's fun. Each of them has given you evidence that they can produce in those minutes in the past. But Cam Spencer is probably, if I had to guess, like a top 75 guy the rest of the way. When you factor in availability, and he'll probably play the rest of the season, and they like him there. And at the same time, Ty Jerome is, according to Coach Thomas Isolo, is like one of the best in the league at what he does. And yeah, it could be coach speak or whatever, but I really think that the context of that question when it was asked of him was really just kind of like, what does Ty Jerome mean to you when he comes back for these Memphis Grizzlies? And it meant to me that they're just going to throw him right into that primary ball handling role. And if he can handle, we've never seen him handle more than 27 minutes per game. If he can handle 27 minutes per game, Ty Jerome might be a mid-round guy in 27 minutes per game. Are you going to sell Cam Spencer high, Doc?
No, I'm not doing anything with him until the trade deadline passes. Because if John Morant gets moved, there should be plenty of space for Spencer to do his thing.
Yeah, and I think Morant has played his last game in Memphis, and that's a little bit of a sad story considering how go back 3 years ago and everybody wanted to be Memphis. Now they don't. All right. So enough of the news. Doc, let's get into your My Guys. Who you got?
Trey Jones had a monster game yesterday, Brew. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. Oh,
the day you have it pulled up in front of you, Doc.
I always have it pulled up. I'm so prepared usually, but I was not ready for that to be thrown my way. Why don't I see the Trey Jones numbers on this email? Anyway, he had like 34 points, 7 assists, a bunch of 3-pointers. Trey Jones finally broke out. And if you look at his numbers, they've been pretty good. They've been quietly good, like sneaky good. Like they don't jump off the page at you. But so last night was 34 and 7 with a steal and 5 triples. He hit 11 of 12 shots. And then for January, 13.7 assists and a 3, and really good shooting at the line and the field. So Trey Jones, everyone.
Yeah. Who else you got?
And then I've also got another guy. Oh, that's cute. Nikhil Alexander Walker, Brew. 26 points, 5 threes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Trae Young is gone. It's the NAW show now. And he's going to go down this season as probably the value player of the year. You drafted him late, you picked him up off waivers, and here we are. The dude's just out there balling out almost every night. Great game from him last night. And Dyson Daniels was not great last night. He was okay. He had 8 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 threes, but no steals, no blocks. And 8 points, man, I sometimes Dyson Daniels gives me Draymond vibes. You know, he does all that good defensive stuff and doesn't score very many points. But other nights, he doesn't. Other nights, he scores a bunch of points and does the other stuff. To me,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
To me, a guy like Dyson Daniels and Draymond Green, it's such a better fantasy player if they score points and do all that other stuff. If they're not scoring, you're just taking such a big hit when a guy goes out and gets 6 or 7 points in a game.
CJ McCollum, I think it was 25 points in that game. How worried are we that CJ McCollum, by kind of virtue of his respect, you know, in the association and being traded, and then Atlanta thinking, okay, we can use this guy, but how worried are we that like CJ comes in and just takes gravity in this box score and starts to take away from players like Dyson and maybe from Nikhil Alexander Walker? Is this a longer term concern, or do you think this might be a pit stop for him, or what do you think there?
Yeah, I don't know that CJ is going to stay in Atlanta. Maybe he does. It certainly would be a buzzkill for NAW and Dyson if CJ started eating into their minutes and their touches. I'm not too worried about NAW though. I think CJ can just be a good shooting guard. Either one of them can, so they should be able to play together. And they were okay when Trey was there. They should be fine. I'm not too worried about it.
It feels like with Dyson not wanting to shoot any threes at all because he's shooting like 10% or whatever it is on the season, it feels like CJ McCollum has a role at minimum, bringing that to the table, because everything else, all the boxes are checked. Jalen Johnson's running your offense. I mean, you got Kristaps Porzingis theoretically on the bench, you know, to do stuff. And Yeka Kongwu is going to have his role for the foreseeable future. Nikhil Alexander Walker is better than CJ McCollum flat out at everything. So Dyson is the guy who's kind of like, maybe on the outside looking in with that offensive number coming back down, and hopefully he can make it up with the rebounds, assists, and get that steal number back up to 3.
Yeah, I misspoke on Dyson's numbers. It was 8 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. He did not hit any threes, as I said earlier. And then the other interesting thing from that Hawks game last night to me was Corey Kispert. He played 26 minutes and scored 19 points. He's the one who hit the 3 3-pointers. You know, Brew, how I said I wasn't ready to talk about Trey Jones when you threw it to me? I had it all written down on my piece of paper in front of me. And I'm sitting here scouring the pages of the internet looking for it.
That's what you get for using old pen and paper. What's that stuff? Corey Kispert's interesting because he's been good at basketball. His fantasy game's got holes in it, but he's been good at basketball. And then he gets kind of lumped into this Washington mess, and now gets maybe a lease on life in Atlanta. I mean, are we looking at some deep league stuff here, or what are we looking at with Corey?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to keep an eye on him. He had an empty line, you know, 19 points, 3 threes, and really nothing else. And you can't really expect much more out of him, but I'm just curious, and this game was a blowout too. The Hawks got run out of the gym. So I'm wondering if they were just letting Kispert play to get a look at him and let him figure out where he is and who he's playing with, or if this is going to become a trend. Like I'm just going to keep an eye on Corey Kispert. There's nothing actionable here. You don't have to run out and pick him up, but the minutes and the points were encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a poor man's Sam Merrill situation cooking up. It feels like the things that CJ and Kispert bring to this equation is the over-the-top three-point shooting. I mean, you get a little three-point shooting out of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You get a little out of Kristaps, and Anyaka has improved greatly as a shooter, and you don't get a ton out of Jalen. You're not worried about really kind of any of those guys. I mean, if Kristaps is open, he catches the ball, he's money, but you don't worry about him like rising and firing from deep. And his availability is always a question. So like they don't have those two guys. And now they have those two guys. They'll probably shoot over the top and keep things easy for the rest of the crew. But there might be some deep league value for Corey Kispert there. And we'll watch how Dyson progresses as he's been a third round play lately and getting back into the good graces of fantasy GMs. Okay, let's shift gears into the Bruski 150 players. Start off quickly with Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie. These guys not only are ads, if they're just a stop the show, go add both of those players if you see them available on your waiver wire situation for both guys. But mostly we're just kind of in a wait and see mode. We want to see what happens with Jalen Green, Grayson Allen, a top 70 guy on the season, and really some room for more. Because of how much they like him on the ball and in that offense. And at the same time, we don't want to get over our skis because we do have Jalen Green coming back. And I think Grayson Allen, top 70, top 80, top 90, maybe top 100 at worst, when he's on the floor is what we're looking for there. And it's the same ballpark for Colin Gillespie. There's a lot of anxiety in the market for both guys because of the Jalen Green return. And I'm just here to calm you guys down. I would like to take a look. Oh, we got a question in the chat that seems good. Would I drop Jay Huff for Grayson and Gillespie and a couple of different names? So I'll go ahead and I'll ask you, Doc. Would you drop Jay Huff for Grayson Allen? We'll start there.
Not
guy.
right now. Not right now.
Okay.
If Jay Huff gets a 7-minute 2.1 rebound, no 3 game, yeah, I might do it.
You'd feel differently. I would keep Grayson Allen here just because I think the production's consistent. And I think they both carry equal injury risk, though we haven't seen it out of Jay Huff this season, but we have seen it in previous seasons. What about Colin Gillespie? Do you go Gillespie or Jay Huff? And yes, you can speak honestly on the show.
There I'm going Gillespie.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, Huff's tough, man. In a head-to-head scoring league, I mean, he's just tough to roster.
I think you really have to have the need for the threes and the blocks. Like if you're not getting full value out of those two things, that value drops like a rock. And that makes him a really unique fantasy asset with a ton of upside, because if this thing ever gets cut loose for Jay Huff, it's top 50 for Jay Huff. I mean, we're talking peak Jay Huff, but it's there because of the math involved. Okay. What about Keyshawn George? Would you drop Keyshawn George for Grayson Allen or Colin Gillespie?
Is Keyshawn still injured?
He's back. He's slow, but he's back. He had some interesting comments. I'll hold them for after your answer here.
I would drop Keyshawn.
You would? Interesting.
Yeah.
Keyshawn's in an 8-cat league, getting you something like top 60 value before the injury, and it's dipped down. And then I'll get to it right now. Keyshawn George was on NBA TV, and he was asked about playing with Trae Young, and he had a bunch of like Trae Young's going to be playing kind of answers, and maybe they were just kind of standard responses to a question where everybody internally knows that Trae Young's not going to play that much. But in terms of like, if Trae Young, I don't know how many games the Wizards have left. If they've got like 40 games, that I was going to predict that he played in 10, maybe now I predict he plays in like 15 or something. But it was interesting to see Keyshawn George out there saying that. So you would drop Keyshawn George for those two dudes. I would not drop him for Grayson because of the injury risk. And Colin is an interesting one. I think I got to put my faith in Keyshawn George here at least a little bit. I mean, he's a guy that they really, really liked early on in the season, and I don't think Trae Young's going to play. I think Keyshawn George's role is basically what it was before, and all of that kind of computes to top 50, 60 value in 8-cat leagues. In the 9-cat leagues, it's different because he's got lots of turnovers, and it starts to trend toward top 100 territory. If it's a 9-cat league, I would take Colin Gillespie. In an 8-cat league, it feels like the answer is Keyshawn, but I'm scared. I'm scared because I think Colin might just reach up and whoop his ass. Okay. Anybody else? Rapid fire. Okay. Do you like Modest Bacelis over Grayson Allen, Colin Gillespie?
What do you think?
I know. I had to ask, but it was get you on the record for it.
Yes,
Aaron Neesmith over Grayson Allen or Colin Gillespie?
No, I'd rather have Gillespie.
Neemias Queta.
Neemias Queta is interesting. I know he had a big game his last time out, and I know he's been playing well, but I have not really done a deep dive into Queta. Brew, what's your answer? Would you rather have Jay Huff or Neemias Queta?
I'll take the low and slow roll for Neemias Queta just to get out of the Jay Huff up and down business. I think it might actually pan out better at the end of the season, no matter what, for Queta. So I'd have Queta over Huff. Neesmith is interesting, but because of the Indy risk, they start tanking and he can't shoot in a bad shooting environment, I would have Neesmith toward the bottom of this list. Modest is the interesting one because Modest might just cruise to top 75 the rest of the way. And because I don't think he's an injury guy and I think he's a priority in Chicago, and we're probably looking at a second half surge here. I know we've been saying that forever, but Grayson Allen doesn't have such things going on, and he's got that injury risk and you got a full house risk there. So I would go Modest over Grayson Allen. But I'll tell you, Colin Gillespie at a top 40 level already in just 28 minutes per game, he's outproducing Modest right now. And the idea that Modest from top 75 land is going to kind of pass Colin Gillespie, two ships passing in the night, it seems a little bit dicey. I don't know if I'd put all the money on that. It feels like the momentum's heading that direction, but you get one injury and then they go back to Colin, or Colin just keeps outplaying dudes and he just ends up getting there anyway. So I'll have Colin Gillespie over Modest Bacelis in both formats. And then Keyshawn George, he's got the swing, the turnover issue. I would have Keyshawn George after Modest Bacelis in a 9-cat format. All right. Fun with ranking, folks. Yo.
Bacelis's minutes in January go 30, 34, 31, 33, 25, and 37. Like the minutes are there, the scoring is there. The blocks are coming. The threes are there. I don't know, man. 35 minutes a night from Bacelis to finish up the season is going to be scintillating.
It is, and that's how much I like Colin Gillespie. But it is there. What I would like to see out of Bacelis that we haven't seen is I just want more assists and I want more rebounds, and I want him to be more of a part of the game plan. It's like he's scoring on such low overall usage, and that's not the word I want to go for here, but just as a focus of the game plan. It's just he's doing a lot with a little there. And I just don't know if Billy Donovan's going to really open the floodgates for him. But yeah, he's been good and consistent, and yet still some holes in his fantasy game. Whereas Colin Gillespie doesn't really got holes in the fantasy game. He just goes and he's just good. So good stuff. All right, let's look at my next cluster of Bruski 150 players: De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama. Lots of spicy questions here, Doc. Wembanyama is bringing back top 5 or 6 value, 9 or 8 cat leagues, 29 minutes per game. I'll actually, let me break down De'Aaron Fox here too. Top 50 to 60 this season. Everything's just a little bit down for him, like right across the board. And then Stephon Castle, top 110 or 200 value on the season. The 200 numbers in 9 cat leagues. 72.5% shooting from the foul lines. Actually an improvement over earlier in the season, but he's shooting 6 attempts per game. It's dragging him down. It's 3.7 turnovers per contest to go with 17, 5, and 7, and 1.6 combined defensive stats and just 1.1 triples. So we've got these disparate pieces in San Antonio for fantasy purposes. So let's start at the top with Victor Wembanyama, the guy who was supposed to ruin fantasy leagues. Dude, you can't draft him because we pulled him from the player pool. He's Michael Jordan again. Top 5 to 6 value, 29 minutes per game. So let's play a game. Would you trade Wemby for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now, Doc?
Man, that's tough.
I'll keep giving you context. I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is ranked 3rd right now without looking it up.
I don't think I would. I would not.
You would not trade Wemby to get Shai?
No.
You're going to hang on to Wemby?
Yep.
What's the thought process?
I hate this limited minutes thing they got going with him, but dude, Wemby's skill set is it's still mind blowing to me, and I'm not letting somebody else get all those blocks and threes and then come back and beat me with them.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. All right, well, let's do another one. Tyrese Maxey.
For
Wembanyama. Yeah.
Nah, I'm keeping Wemby.
Too much faith in Victor Wembanyama there. All right.
What did you say? You said he's 5th or 6th already, right?
Yeah, that's Victor Wembanyama right now. Tyrese Maxey's 4, I believe, without looking it up. And both of them have a sizable current gap between themselves and Wemby. It's if you look at Z scores, it's about 0.2. So 0.2 is substantial. 0.2 later on in the ranks is like a round or two of additional value. Up in the high altitude that these guys play in, that gap can be closed a little bit quicker because these guys can put up monster stat lines. But that's a pretty big gap between Shai and Tyrese and currently Victor Wembanyama at 29 minutes per game. Some other color to throw in there for Victor Wembanyama. The article that came out today or yesterday by the great Jeff McDonald of the San Antonio Express News, who said that some of the thinking in their process in San Antonio is that they do want him to be eligible for end of season awards, specifically Defensive Player of the Year. I have a boatload of money on Dyson Daniels, so I have a rooting interest here. Not that anybody cares, but the Victor Wembanyama wants to play story, I think that's actually going to become more of a story maybe next season, where he's like, okay, guys, take the kid gloves off me. I want to play right now. But he's getting 29 minutes per game right now. Maybe going to get a little bit more leash here. Do you think that he kicks up to like 32 and can then, with the extra 3 minutes a game, overtake Shai and overtake Tyrese Maxey?
I think it's possible. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a long way to go. We still have 12 weeks left.
And one more question. Would you trade Wemby for Nikola Jokic in a playoff format if you're currently locked into first place? So you're in first right now. You got Wemby, and you're like, no, I kind of want Jokic. What would you do there?
Not doing it.
Interesting stuff. Oklahoma City has 24 games. If you look at the schedule, go over to sportsethos.com schedule grid if you're a FantasyPass member, and you can see that there's 24 games for OKC starting on February 23rd. Philly has 25 games, and San Antonio has 26 games. And the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stock, if you will, has been, I think, improved a little bit by San Antonio whooping them 3 times. And yes, Oklahoma City got the win last night, but they went from immortal to, Yeah, we'll say all the right things about not caring about these 3 losses against the Spurs, but god damn, they beat our asses. And maybe we do need to not cruise through the end of this season. Maybe we actually do need to play more ball games. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for me would still be ahead of Wemby. And it's the injury risk, I think, and it's the kid gloves that have me concerned the most. Am I gonna bet my life on this? Hell no, because Wemby could do exactly what Doc is saying right here. And then Maxey has a pretty good situation right now. Philly's going to kind of continue to ride him the rest of the way and try to get a higher seed in the playoffs and try to make something out of this, what would have been a lost season. And unless it spins horribly south in the coming weeks, I think Maxey's locked in, and it's probably a 60-40 split on Maxey outproducing Wemby the rest of the way. Those aren't great odds, but they're pretty good odds. That said, if Wemby gets the 32nd minute and he continues to improve, we haven't really seen him hit a high gear yet. He could blow past these two and then make his run at Jokic. And what a spicy conversation. And it feels like we still have way more levels that Wemby can go in future seasons. So we'll just geek out on that as we go here. What about Stephon Castle, Doc? How are you doing with him?
How am I doing with Stephon Castle?
Yeah, you're a resident Stephon Castle guy, aren't you?
I mean, yeah, I like him.
What do you do about all these like percentages issues and turnovers? Like, how much does that hit your calculus of what you do with him?
Well, he's not an ideal package for sure, but you know, I'm not a big percentages guy. I'm not focused on that. I think I would be if I played in more roto leagues, but I'm so frustrated.
But in head-to-head, I mean, turnovers are just a random thing in a lot of head-to-head leagues, and same with percentages. Like, so do you look at Stephon Castle as more of like a top 75 asset? You know, when these numbers are coming back and he's getting you 17, 5, and 7, almost 2 defensive stats a game. He's getting you a 3. It's not great, but it's at least something. Do you look at that and you say, well, you know what? He's undervalued here because people are looking into the math too much?
I think he's just in a slump right now. I mean, in October, he shot 53%. November, it was 47. December, it was 49. And in January, he's at 36. So, I mean, he's had a couple rough games this month, a 2 of 11, a 3 of 16, 6 of 17. So he's not shooting the ball very well right now. And his turnovers are ridiculous. Like, it's pretty bad. But he's also an effective scorer. He gets rebounds, he gets assists, he gets steals, he hits threes. So I don't know. If I was obsessed with percentages and turnovers, he wouldn't be on my team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough sell. It just depends on how your team is situated and what you're punting, and you're going to want to look at all those punt tools over at sportsethos.com to make sure that you're up to speed on what you want to do with your squad. And then as far as De'Aaron Fox goes, yeah, basically, I think he's like the new guy, and he's just kind of giving all these young guys, hey, you could have a little bit of what I got here. You could have a little bit of what I got here. And I think meshing all of these players and meshing with Wemby is either going to be really easy or it's going to be really hard. And I think because of the in and out, and it's still Wemby, I mean, you see triple teams with him and you got to swing the ball around all these different ways that you don't really normally see in an NBA game. And the learning curve there is still on the upswing. I would bet that this shifts toward Fox and away from somebody like Stephon Castle, who's been really taking the ball and just going with it as we get into more important basketball games. And I don't think Fox wants to take the criticism too long either, and he certainly hears it. All right, quick reminder, if this content is helping your team, visit sportsethos.com for projections, tools, and the free blurb feed, which is amazing, and grab the Sports Ethos app for real-time news and analysis. And there are all sorts of updates going into that thing. Doc, what are you watching for heading into the Wednesday and Thursday slates?
Well, tonight we've got the Raptors at Pacers. Pacers are getting 2 points. It's in Indy. The Raptors are kind of banged up. No RJ Barrett, no Jakob Pertl, and it's Pacers +2 at -110 on FanDuel. I like it. Pacers are going for 4 wins in a row. Maybe they're winning too much, and maybe they're gonna slam on the brakes here and start losing again because they're only a game behind whoever's in front of them in the standings. So I'm a little nervous that they may be winning too much, but I think these players were sick of losing and they're enjoying this little win streak they're on. So yeah, I like the Pacers tonight. Curious to see if Jarris Walker can do it again. He had a huge game, then he followed it up with an okay game. I'd like to see him go big again tonight. We got to see what our boy Jay Huff does tonight. Is he going to play 25 minutes? Is he going to score a bunch of points, or is he going to sit on the bench? We don't know. So I'm very curious about that.
Well, we got to see if Jarris Walker has like 5 consecutive good games before we can consider him an ad. So I'll be watching that, see if he can string another one together. Sandro Mamukalishvili has had a couple bad games. I want to see him have a good one, and we'll evaluate after that. I still have him as a hold in a lot of situations. He was having top 50 value there a little bit ago, and that's hard to find. I'll be watching the Wizards as usual. I want to see Trey Johnson really hit a high gear here just to kind of solidify his overall value. I've tried to add Trey Johnson where I could. Could I get him compared to other squads with some bigger fab budgets? That was a tough challenge for me. So I don't have Trey Johnson everywhere. But if I could, I would. And if he has another good game, I think you'll see him start to get the respect around there in fantasy circles. Bilal Coulibaly, also a must roster player. So I just want to see the progression there. And Justin Champagne's still a top 125 guy over the last month, despite having probably more bad games than not good games, but like more bad games than I wanted him to have in terms of just low end stat lines. They don't hurt you, but they're not like rocking. And I do think his minutes are kind of set in stone the rest of the way, at least 22 going forward. But I'd like to see him up in the 26 and 30 range. And I also want to see him getting involved more on the offense and things starting to trend his direction as far as standing in the organization, because of course the money plays and all of that. And then Bub Carrington, will he shoot a bunch of shots and throw the ball into the third row? I'm kidding, Bub. You're good. Doc, what else you watching for tonight?
Just a couple other games caught my eye. You've got Oklahoma City at the Rockets, possible Western Conference Finals preview. It's never not fun for me to watch Oklahoma City. Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander less annoying this year than he has been in the past? He's not baiting everyone as much as he used to, or is that just my perception? I don't know, but
frankly, I think it's his teammates' fault. Honestly, like if Dort and Caruso weren't out there establishing physicality from the first second, and then refs falling for it, I don't think you'd get the criticism of the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stuff as much, because you can't have it both ways. You can't let those two hammer people and then a touch foul on Shai doesn't add up.
Dude, you talk to any 15-year-old kid that likes
they're getting it off TikTok,
that likes basketball, and they will be like Shai Bates. And it's almost like it just comes right out of it's they all talk about it. It's wild. So anyway, I look forward to that. And then just a reminder, tomorrow's Grizzlies Magic game is being played in the Uber Arena in Berlin, and it starts at 2:00 in the afternoon Eastern time. So that's like what, Brew? 11 o'clock your time?
Sure.
So make sure you get your lineup set before you go to bed tonight, or you may miss out on some Grizzlies Magic. Jock Landale for the Grizzlies. I think he's a hot pickup right now. I want to see what he can do against the Magic, and then I want to see if Anthony Black can keep it going. Man, dude has been on fire.
Yeah, he has. And at the same time, you're going to get some Wagner's back in the mix. You got one already, and Franz is on his way back. So that'll be fun. It's in Germany. Everybody's making a big deal about it. And also in that OKC Houston game, we're going to be watching the Reed Shepherd stuff, see if he can bounce back. I've got him as a must hold, and we'll see how that goes. And his minutes in the 24-minute range on the season have had him as a top 80 to 100 guy. I don't see why anything changes. It's not like Houston's going to go out and make any moves or anything. So seems like a pretty standard hold call, but what do I know? We'll watch Cleveland and Philly and all that fun stuff in Philadelphia as they're kind of a packed house right now. Kelly Oubre had a massive game, then a dud. Russ game before that. So will he be a top 100 guy going forward? That question gets answered pretty definitively here in the next couple games. So we'll keep an eye on that. Quentin Grimes is a must-hold player for me. We'll see how that goes for us here in the next coming games as well. The backup stuff in Philly is really so far off the radar for so many folks. And at the same time, if Joel Embiid gets hurt, the race to get a dem bone on the waiver wire will be on. So can you be ahead of that and get the value there? What else we got? Utah, Dallas, all sorts of Kyle Filipowski stuff. Can he be worth something over that span? Dan Gafford, can he stay in the game? Can he be productive? Can he take advantage of this 6-week window? What's up with PJ Washington? Does Najee Marshall take a haircut? I think both those guys can be productive at the same time going forward. At the same time, it's a pretty weird basketball team with those two and Cooper Flagg all similarly situated size-wise. And then you get Ryan Nembhard and Brandon Williams at the point, and old-ass Klay Thompson, shooting threes, and Gafford and just everything that's going on there. Dallas is so weird. And that's going to do it for the episode of Fantasy NBA today. This episode, I should say. If you're listening on the pod feed, take 60 seconds and leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the Sports Ethos channel so you guys never miss an episode. We got Q&A with Dr. A on the other side of this episode. Make sure you're tuned in for that. Later tonight, William Harris will deliver the box score breakdown. And that show's been rocking and rolling at the end of the night when you need to get everything figured out. Let William do the heavy lifting for you. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by FanDuel.